Hi, babe. Welcome to the Horror Babe Show. I'm your host, Chelsea Beller. Well, I've been talking about it for months, and now we're finally doing it. Ghost stories. Reddit is a magical place. You can find pretty much anything there. Anything you have an interest in, anything you have a weird obsession with, like me, with ghost stories. I recently found some kooky, spooky ghost stories on Reddit, and I thought I would share them with you. Let me know what you think about this, if you think that this could be like a new series, because I know I would really like to do this as a series. So grab a treat and get comfy. We're about to hear some ghost stories. Before we get into that, here's a spooky reminder that you can support the show with a one-time donation to buymeacoffee.com. You can become a Patreon member and get exclusive and early access to your favorite horror hostess. Last but not least, I have a merch shop. Did you know that you too can sport whatever horror babe paraphernalia that gets your rocks off? Well, you can. All of these links live in the description below. Thanks, babe. All right, so our first story. Should I title them? This one is called, they don't have titles. This one is called The Link Bridge. Sure. 3 years ago, a Redditor named, but I don't know if they want to be named, but I'm naming them to give them credit. Muted-application-27. I know, you know exactly who that is. So 3 years ago, this person wrote in quite an unnerving story. Let's just get into it. Oh, I will be reading these Reddit stories as they are written, so please excuse any weird wording. I'll try to make adjustments as I go. I work as an anesthesiologist, and we are routinely part of the cardiac arrest/code team of the hospital. When a cardiac arrest call comes over our pagers, we need to get there ASAP. The hospital I work at is a new building, but it is attached to the old, and now mostly empty, hospital by a link bridge. The old hospital is about 150 years old and was built on the site of an old Roman fort. It only has a few wards open on it. I've come across some strange occurrences as a doctor working nights in a hospital, but this shook me to the core and has made me question everything. Anyways, I was working the night shift and received a cardiac arrest call at about 4 a.m. to one of the wards in the old hospital. So I start to run towards the old hospital and enter the link bridge that connects the two. This bridge is a bit like those walkways when you get off an airplane, long, tiny, feels a bit flimsy, and about 50 meters off the ground. It is about 500 meters long and pitch black at night. There are motion-activated sensors that turn on the lights as you make your way through the bridge. As I was running through the bridge, the lights were coming on in front of me as I ran in segments of about 20 meters at a time. About halfway through the bridge, I crapped myself as I nearly ran into somebody who looked like a patient heading the opposite way to me towards the new hospital. This guy just appeared out of the dark as one of the light sensors I triggered illuminated a section of the bridge. He was a very distinctive looking man. He looked a bit like Albert Einstein. Wild white hair, a big bushy mustache, and wearing a gold medallion style necklace that poked out from his hairy chest and hospital pajamas. He also had a large, distinctive hairy mole on his left cheek. "Excuse me, sir, can you help me?" he called out to me as I ran past him. I slowed down momentarily to a quick walk and said, "Yes, but I have to be quick as I'm on my way to an emergency. I was just wondering if you could tell me where the morgue is?" He called out as I wasn't 100% sure where the mortuary was in the new hospital. I said, "You'll have to ask somebody at the reception desk at the other side of the bridge. They'll be able to direct you. Sorry, I've got to go." I carried on running without looking back. For a second, it briefly crossed my mind as to why a patient was looking for the mortuary at 4 a.m. I didn't give it too much further thought and made my way to the ward where the cardiac arrest call came from. As I made my way onto the ward nurses were directing me to the patient bed space where the emergency was. Nurses had already started performing CPR when I got there. To my absolute horror and disbelief, the patient in cardiac arrest was the same man I crossed paths with, going the other way on the Link Bridge. Same wild hair, same bushy mustache, same mole on his left cheek, same hospital pajamas, and the same gold medallion poking out from them. Not a look-alike, the exact same guy. Down to the pink IV cannula in his left hand. Anesthesiologists noticed things like that. We tried CPR for 25 minutes, but we could not get him back. I had crossed paths with his spirit on the Link Bridge, and it was looking for the mortuary. It still gives me the heebie-jeebies when I have to cross it, especially at night. I have had some other milder paranormal encounters in the old hospital, which I'll save for another time. None that will be forever etched into my memory like that one. Whew! Yeah, when I first read that, yeah, the moment I read the word hospital, I was like, no, 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 no. If you too have experienced some kind of spiritual encounter in a hospital, oh my God, please write that in. I need to know. Hospitals wig me out, man. Ugh. All right. This next story is from 6 years ago. A Redditor X Rude Awakening wrote, around 6 years ago. Oh, wow. So 12 years ago now. Shit. Around 6 years ago, my buddies and I had a little tradition during our senior year of high school where we'd stay out all night skating/exploring all kinds of spooky areas. And this was before any of us had a car, so everything was traveled by foot. One night in particular, we had ventured out over an hour from our usual exploration areas, and we came across a heavily wooded area that we hadn't been through before. The time had to have been around 2 or 3 a.m., and just looking into these woods gave me an incredible feeling of unease that I had never felt before. My buddies were determined to go through it, but I decided against it and instead told my friends that I'd just skate/walk around and meet them at the gas station on the other side. It took me around 30 minutes to skate around the entire area. I waited at the exit of the woods for about 15 minutes before crossing the 4-lane street that led to the gas station. I asked the clerk if 3 guys, other teens, had come in. He tells me no, so I head back out to wait in the front. 10 more minutes pass before I can hear heavy footsteps moving quick from behind the gas station's main building. Next thing I know, I see all 3 of my buddies sweaty, out of breath, and looking like they've witnessed a murder. We head into the gas station and sit at the small seating area. They then go on to tell me that somewhere halfway into those woods, they heard strange noises behind them. And when they turned around to look, they saw a tall, white figure with red eyes staring at them. They said they just freaked out and took off. As they neared the end of the woods, they could hear the leaves and branches rustling as if it were chasing them. They kept running until they crossed the road, separating the woods from the gas station, and once they were at the back of the gas station, they looked back and could see the figure just standing at the edge of the woods, unmoving. The way they described was that it only vaguely was shaped like a human, more like a Sasquatch, Bigfoot type creature, but it was white in color and had piercing red eyes. Honestly, I had never seen anyone so distressed in the way that my friends were. They genuinely seemed terrified, and that night was one of the last times they ever wanted to stay out all night. I think about this night a lot, even to this day. Wow. What? What was that? A tall, human like, but Sasquatch like white figure with bright red eyes. I mean, the red eyes part reminds me of Mothman, but the skinny, tall, white figure part reminds me of like maybe a version of Slender Man or something. What cryptid could this have been? If you recognize this cryptid, please comment below because what even was that? Also, they don't say, did they say where they were from? No. Because in my mind, this was like Pacific Northwest, but now I'm like, oh, maybe it was the Appalachian Mountains? I don't know. Oh, man. Please, if you know anything about this, please write it in. All right. Our last story is by Emmeline TX from only 3 months ago, or she edited it 3 months ago. So been some recent updates maybe, but this one really freaked me out, and at first I was like, wait, is this even true? But I can't imagine. I mean, totally people would make this up, but I don't know. I feel like it's true, and it's really freaky if that's the case. And it's from the Bay Area, which is my hometown. So, a little hometown ghost story. I met a ghost under the Golden Gate Bridge. A date and I went to the North Tower to watch the sunset. You can walk down an incline and there are huge granite blocks or rocks left over from the bridge construction. You can watch the fog roll in and hear the foghorn's long, low notes. We were there until it got dark and then started walking back up to the car. I looked up and there was a man sitting on top of one of the blocks. I said hello and he nodded. He was wearing a plaid shirt, suspenders, wool pants, and old work boots. He was smoking a scruffy old pipe, and I could see the smoke curling up from it. We talked for a minute, and I noticed that we were the last car left in the parking lot. I asked him if someone was picking him up, and he said, I've been waiting a fair while. My wife and daughter will be here eventually, and we'll go home together. I asked him if he wanted a ride just to the south end of the bridge, and he smiled and said that he knew that they'd be waiting to meet him, and they would all finish the trip together. I can't think of a worse place to walk. The Golden Gate Bridge is long, and it's freezing cold. It's a long, long drop to the water below. But he sounded firm, so I said, have a good night then. About that time, I noticed that my date hadn't said a word. I look over and he's frozen, then grabbed my elbow and pushed me to the car. He hurt my arm. He pushed so hard. We got in the car and he was really speeding. We crossed the toll plaza and he started yelling, Who the hell were you talking to? Are you nuts? What the fuck? He was really panicking because he felt something was very, very wrong. He hadn't seen the man. He saw me have a conversation with thin air, but he said the temperature dropped so much that he was shaking. He also said the air was electric, and he thought that if we didn't get out of there, we might be two of those people who just disappear and are never found. He saw a swirl in the air and smelled tobacco smoke on the breeze. I finally figured it out, at least in my mind. This took place in the 1980s. The Golden Gate Bridge was completed in 1937, and quite a few men building it died. He probably was one of them, and he was waiting for when his wife and daughter died, and they would meet him then and go on, wherever the afterlife took them. I hope it was someplace beautiful. I never spoke to my date again. He called me Ghost Girl. I can't blame him. Oh, the Golden Gate Bridge, I firmly believe, is so haunted. Oh my God. I mean, I firmly believe that the Golden Gate Bridge is haunted. I mean, aren't all bridges for one reason or another? Oh, San Francisco is so old and there's so much history there. And I just think it's such a beautiful, haunted place. Of course, there's ghosts there. But I want to know more about Ghost Girl. Has she seen any other ghosts? She only saw one ghost, like maybe like in her 20s, and then that's it? Like never again? Oh man, I need to know. I need to know Ghost Girl. Though I am one to talk, I have also only seen one. So, but I was a kid, so I don't know. I feel like it's different. If you don't know, I have a ghost story and it is on my Patreon. You're more than welcome to check it out. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I think it's really fun. Ghost stories are just fun. Fun and like, give you goosebumps. If you enjoyed this, please let me know. I would love to read your ghost story, and please only genuine, authentic ghost stories, nothing made up, please. I can tell. Well, that's it from me. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, follow, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Letterboxd to see what I'm watching and what I'm rating. Bye, babe.